Hello, Star Wars fans.
Lately, I've been watching Star Wars documentaries, mostly based on the original trilogy. And after watching them, I am completely confused as to how Lucasfilm messed up Disney Star Wars so badly. I mean, it's all there. I'm going to show you a series of clips from a bunch of those documentaries. And as you watch them, just think of how Disney went in the opposite direction when making their choices. I've also watched interviews with like Sir Alec Guinness, who played Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they delve into what is Star Wars. And I've prepared nearly 3 minutes worth of video of cuts from those documentaries and interviews, and I hope that it's able to convey what is Star Wars. Enjoy.
But just why is Star Wars considered the epic tale of our time?
It was Sir Alec Guinness who served as a role model of professionalism.
He was the person who sort of brought it some legitimacy. And I asked him why he wanted to do it. And he loved the idea of playing a mentor or wizard in a morality play where good and evil so clearly defined.
It's quite extraordinary. I mean, all these years in movies, now all of a sudden you've hit the jackpot with a thing called Star Wars, which I saw last week, and I think just loved it. I think it's super. I think it's marvelous escapism. And what's the fascination of it to you, do you think?
I think a marvelous, healthy innocence.
Yes.
Great pace, wonderful to look at, full of guts, nothing unpleasant. I mean, people go bang, bang, and people fall over and are dead, but, no horrors, no sleazy sex. In fact, actually, no sex at all if it comes to that. And a sort of wonderful freshness about it, kind of like a wonderful fresh air. When I came out of the cinema into Tottenham Court Road, I thought, oh, Lord, London's awfully sort of gritty and dirty and full of rubbish, isn't it? Because this had all been so
I think that's
invigorating.
Absolutely right, actually. One of the few movies I've come out of recently where I really felt happy and uplifted when I came out. I'd enjoyed myself, actually.
The cultural impact of Lucas's outer space story was greater than anything even he could have imagined, not just in the United States, but around the globe.
It wasn't a story of cultures, it wasn't a story of nationalities, it wasn't a story of geography. It was a story of mankind escaping his environment to a life which everybody expects to happen, but George Lucas was able to illustrate for us. This was what made it a success worldwide.
George had this idea of a used universe. I remember the idea came down from him, and he didn't want anything too slick or too well painted, or it also needed to look aged. And also boilerplate technology. Everything had to look like it had been riveted together, assembled, rather than just a slick mono shape.
Special effects are just a tool, a means of telling a story. People have a tendency to confuse them as an end in themselves. A special effect without a story is a pretty boring thing.
I was asked by George to come to lunch at Universal, and he said, how would you like to do the second Star Wars? We had no title for it at that point. I felt I needed humor in the picture, and yet I couldn't have gags. I felt I needed a love story, and yet I couldn't have a lot of smooching and kissing and all that stuff, and it had to all be more implied.
So after all those clips, I'm sure you can tell where Disney Star Wars went wrong. They chose to ignore the path that had been well defined in the previous 35 years by every documentary and interview covering the original trilogy. It was all there. Yet the current Lucasfilm refuses to use the sources that are freely accessible to the fans. It's heartbreaking. If you like this content, please take a look at some of my other videos. And if you watched to this point, thank you, and
May the Force be with you.
have a great day.